Okay, so today we are going to discuss these topics from the dates 2nd February to 9th February. Okay, these are important from mains perspective. Okay, so you can see here bill to include PVTGs in ST list. So PVTGs is so much in use. Okay, so you have to look into this issue as a whole broadly. And then verdict of election commission with respect to NCP. It is not about NCP, but you see in the recent times this issue of verdict of split and all these things with respect to symbols allocated to different political parties. This issue is also so much in use. Okay, that is why it is selected here. Then SC/ST subclassification, increasing the retirement age for Supreme Court and High Court judges. This is also in the news. Then CRT cell therapy, a prominent area for prelims this year. Then appointment of governors, Lok Sabha passing the finance bill, RBI monetary policy, motion of times. These are all important from mains perspective. Then these are all the facts I can say from mains perspective, prelims perspective. Nagoya Protocol, black-necked crane, ICI body, WIP, nano DAP, seaweeds. We have Kamakya temple related program 1, and Ajanta and Ellora caves, and also World Sustainable Development Summit also is taking place in Delhi. Okay, so we are going to discuss all this. So first thing is bill to include some particular tribes as part of PVTGs in ST list. Okay, you can see. So you should know first thing is who are PVTGs. If you have seen recently, Rajya Sabha has passed this bill. Okay, you know currently budget session is going on, right? So in this session itself, Rajya Sabha has passed this bill of Constitution ST's Order Amendment Bill 2024. Okay, so here the main focus of the bill is placing certain PVTGs in the ST list. Okay, so you should know who are tribes, then you should know who are scheduled tribes, then you should know who are PVTGs. There is a difference between these three. Okay, so for easiness, I am just explaining with a Venn diagram. You can say if these are tribal people, among them some people will be STs, among them you have some people as PVTGs. Okay, for ease, I am just giving you this. Okay, so not all tribal people are STs and not all STs are again PVTGs. Okay, so here the classification you should understand is, you know who is a tribe? Who is a tribe? Yes, who is a tribe? Backward. Then everyone who is backward should be considered as a tribe. Yes or no? Who is a tribe? Tribe is nothing but an aboriginal person. Aboriginal person means Adivasi, no? Actually, we are all tribes only. Yes or no? To the fact, if you learn in history, there is a Dasaraja battle that happened between tribes only. From there only we have all these descents coming. Okay? So if you are aboriginal to Indian land, then we are all tribes. Okay? So tribe is nothing but who is a person native to that particular land. Okay? Then among the tribes, some people are designated by the government as scheduled tribes. Scheduled tribes means, again, what is the benefit they get or what are the criteria for becoming a scheduled tribe? What is the criteria? Is there anything that they should have? Geographical isolation and yes, primitiveness. Good. And what else? What else? In terms of culture, how? Old culture. And you should not say old and new culture, but primitive tribes. Okay, means right from the civilization times what we have. Okay, same hunting gathering, same types of connect with nature. If you have remembered, Indus Valley civilization people are also nature worshippers. Yes or no? So the same thing, they also worship nature, right? So the same thing they are continuing even today. And shyness of contact or geographically isolated. That is also another feature of a scheduled tribe. Okay, so we'll see those also. Then if you see, scheduled tribes will be placed under this list by the President of India. Means Parliament will prepare the list of those who have to be scheduled tribes, and then that will be notified by President of India under Article 342. Okay, so that is what you have to keep in mind. Then do remember another thing is, not all STs belongs to, like if one ST is given status means that doesn't apply all over India. Okay, if one state they have ST status means in another state they may not have also. That means it is restricted only with respect to that state. Okay, it is not same all throughout India. That is another thing you have to keep in mind. Then coming to PVTGs. PVTGs stand for particularly vulnerable tribal group. Okay, so the name itself is suggesting they are more vulnerable. That means among the scheduled tribes also, the people who are most vulnerable or most backward, so those will be placed under PVTG list. Okay, so they have again some set of criteria. So those we'll see, but here as of now you have to see the 7 PVTGs. Okay, you can see 4 from Odisha, 3 from Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so if you have remembered, in India there are 75 PVTGs and almost 7 or 5 scheduled tribes are there. You can see this is what the number. Okay, if you have remembered, this is what they have tested previously. 95 they have given instead of 75. UPSC numbers they'll change normally. Okay, so in case if you don't know, try to go wrong with that option in case if any number is mentioned in the option, because most of the times UPSC will change the number. Okay, so then here 75 PVTGs are there. Among these 75, highest are there from the state of Odisha. How many? 13. Very good. Second place is Andhra Pradesh itself. Okay, so from these only 4 and 3 were selected to ST list. Then you can see PVTG criteria. Who is defining this is Ministry of Tribal Affairs. These are the criteria: pre-agriculture level of technology, stagnant or declining population. Okay, their population is not growing all, and you can see extremely low literacy, subsistence level of economy. Means subsistence means they'll prepare food for themselves, that's it. They don't have excess and they don't engage in much market economy. Okay, so what is required, that subsistence level of economy is also practiced by PVTG people. So you know this is 1971. Okay, so PVTGs were recognized as a separate group from this Debar Commission itself. Okay, so with respect to STs, we have ST recognition and all right from the Indian Constitution times only. Okay, if you have remembered, first time Government of India Act 1935. Okay, it has recognized and it has given some special voting rights, or you can say subcategory for, okay, you can say for SC and STs also. In 19th, SC, STs, depressed classes, if you have seen at that point of time. Yes or no? Separate electorate was given for SC, STs, no at that point of time. So we have STs there only. But main thing is, after independence, there are some committees formed. Like you have Lokur committee formed in 1965. Then we have Boria committee. This was formed in 2004 around. Then you have Zaza committee. Okay, this is in 2013. So these are the committees. These are the things which you can mention in your mains answers. They don't ask in prelims, but in mains, for welfare of tribals, these are the committees formed till date by Government of India. Okay, so this Boria committee, they have recognized and they recommended that there should be some 5th schedule status for administering the scheduled and tribal areas. So this concept of 5th schedule and all these things, okay, they have made some recommendations of even including this 5th schedule areas as separate PESA Act. You know, Panchayat Raj extension to scheduled areas act for local government. This is also on the recommendations. Okay, previously Boria committee have recommended some things, and for also upliftment of the scheduled tribal areas. So they have made some recommendations. And Zaza committee in the recent times, with respect to review, again they have formed this committee in 2013. All this with respect to welfare of tribals only. This is another thing you have to keep in mind. Then in the recent times, if you have seen, with respect to scheduled tribes and PVTGs, there is this particular mission launched in the recent budget only, developmental mission for PVTGs. Okay, so in this, as part of this mission, they're developing the infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure means, you know, everything like drinking water, sanitation, everything in the PVTGs, because you know their population is also stagnant and level of economy is also subsistence, so that they don't have lot of money to like have a developed life and all. So that is why the Government of India itself is providing all the developmental infrastructure and the facilities. So through this mission. Next program we have is PM Janman. This is also recently launched. Okay, you can see Pradhan Mantri Jan Jati Adivasi Nyaya Maha Abhiyan. Okay, so if you have remembered, we are celebrating Jan Jati Gaurav Divas also. On what occasion it was celebrated? Very good. Birsa Munda's birthday, that is 15th November. Okay, every year we are celebrating this Jan Jatiya Gaurav Divas because we wanted to recognize the tribal contribution to our culture, nature protection and all, and we are respecting the tribals on that particular day. Okay, that is one associated thing here. And you can see Article 366 Clause 25. This is saying that scheduled tribes means the people, tribes or tribal communities within the tribes or tribal communities who are deemed to be considered under Article 342 declared as scheduled tribes for the purpose of this constitution. Means this provision is mentioned under 366, but under 342 President of India is empowered to say who are recognized as scheduled tribes. Okay, so Parliament will prepare the list of, even with respect to SCs also the same procedure is there, because most of the times you will see, so in the recent times Jammu and Kashmir also we have some caste recognized as scheduled caste. So in the same procedure will happen. Parliament will prepare who have to be recognized as SC and STs. Then based on that order, President will notify this in this state. Okay, these people are recognized as SCs and these people are recognized as STs. That is what one main thing you have to keep in mind. Then who notifies? President of India, 342 Clause 1. Okay, so in the recent times we have 705, largest number of tribal communities in Odisha. Tribal communities means more number of tribes are there in Odisha. But tribal population largest is there in Madhya Pradesh. Population as a whole in Madhya Pradesh, do remember it. And there are no tribes recorded in some states like Haryana, Punjab, Chandigarh, Delhi and Pondicherry. Here we don't have any single tribe because I told you in the beginning only tribal people will be state specific. Okay, so they are not uniform across the country. So in these states and union territories we don't have any tribe recognized or notified. Okay, so when a community is declared a scheduled tribe in a state, that doesn't mean that they are also having same status in the another state. This is what one you have to keep in mind. Okay, so this topic is chosen because STs, PVTGs is coming so much in use in the last 1-2 years. Okay, there is a high probability that UPSC can test any of these things. Okay, you should know the basic differences in the articles also. Then these are the criteria for STs. You can see criteria for STs is different and PVTGs is different. PVTG criteria suggested by Debar Commission in 1971. So first time in 1975, 55 PVTGs were recommended by that same commission. But later on, before that only we have some criteria, no? So these are the things. Indication of primitive tribe, distinctive culture, geographical isolation, shyness of contact with the community and backwardness. So these are the main criteria for recognizing an ST. Those are for PVTGs. So these are not mentioned in the constitution. Here the UPSC can track you. Okay, so these are the criteria suggested by different committees. Okay, but there is no such criteria mentioned in the Indian constitution. Do remember this. Clear? Any doubts with respect to this issue? See, denotified tribes ante British time lo kontamandini manam criminal acts vallu atla involve ayyarunna vallani notify చేసేవాళ్ళు వీళ్ళు ఆ ట్రైబ్స్ అని చెప్పి. సో లేటర్ ఆన్ ఏంటంటే మన గవర్నమెంట్ డీనోటిఫై చేసిన వాళ్ళు, అంటే వాళ్ళు ఆ క్రిమినల్ యాక్ట్స్ కి వాళ్ళకి ఇప్పుడు అలా లింక్ ఏం లేదు అని వీ డీనోటిఫైడ్ దెమ్. సో దోస్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ పీపుల్ అండ్ సమ్ ఆఫ్ దేమ్ ఫాల్ అండర్ PVTG ఆల్సో. దే కెన్ బి a chance, but those are different and the purpose of PVTG and denotified tribes is different. Okay, clear?
Regarding PVTG is also National Commission for ST.
Yes, tribal affairs. Yes. Okay. So if you have seen in the recent times with respect to Ladakh also, okay, so this National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, they said that Ladakh is demanding for 6th schedule. No? You have seen that across in news, I guess. So when Ladakh is demanding 6th schedule, Government of India is saying like that cannot be given. Okay, because we already have given a UT status and that is only restricted for northeastern states of 4, you know, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. So, but ST Commission is saying that in case if Ladakh is, because you know, again, there are 90% of the Ladakhi population is STs again. So, it is better that if they are granted this particular ST like status and they are given this 6th schedule, then their cultural rights will be more protected. That is one recommendation made by ST Commission to the government in the recent times. But you know, again, those recommendations are only advisory in nature. There is no need by the government to follow them. But we'll see how it will work out. Okay, then. With respect to this issue, you should know what is a controversy mainly. Okay, so and mainly you should know the constitutional issues and all. Here, yes, 75 only. See, there is no increase in PVTGs now. They have changed, some PVTs were added into ST list in some states, that's it. Those were previously recognized as PVTGs. Now they were added to scheduled tribe list, that's it. Previously they are not scheduled tribes. As I told you, it is state specific issue, no? But PVTGs, you have uniformity across India. Overall, you have same PVTG recognition, but ST recognition varies from state to state. Okay? And try to remember the PVTGs from Andaman and Nicobar in these areas, because most of the times they don't ask state specific PVTGs, but you know, union territories and all these are in use, no? You know, we are focusing on Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep as an alternative, no? So UPSC may test geographical awareness of the aspirant, or they can also ask in this context also what the PVTGs they can ask you, okay? Or they can give you some PVTGs and they can ask you to match also with respect to their states. So these are the things which you have to be prepared. Any doubts? Clear? Okay. Then second issue is with respect to this recognition of or allocation of party symbols, okay. So normally if you see why the splits happen, because when there is a difference in ideology, or if they don't believe in the same leadership, they want a change. So when they split, you know, split is allowed, okay. In case of a split, what happens? They'll qualify under defection, no. Previously split is not a ground for defection, but now it is a ground. Only merger, that means only if 2/3 members join another party or defect, then only it is not a ground for defection, right? So what happens is when there is split in party, you know, two factions will be there. So both will claim for the same thing, right? They'll ask for the same party symbol, because people used to know about that symbol and they got registered with the symbol. So identity is recognized with that. So that is why they'll ask for the same thing. Then in this situation, how the Election Commission of India will decide. Okay, so how it will decide and all these things may not be important, but under which powers or under which provisions it is having the power, and whether it is applicable for all parties uniformly, and all these type of questions can be made as statements. Okay, so in these issues you have to see somewhat analytical things. Okay, so you cannot go straightforwardly only looking into anti-defection or this is a political issue and like that, you cannot leave these issues. Okay, so main thing is election symbols order. Okay, this is the most important thing. So there is no provision in the constitution with respect to this, because one of the function given on the election commission is it will allocate party symbols and it will register political parties. But apart from that, constitution is silent on disputes between different parties. Okay, so that is what mentioned under election orders symbol, or you can say symbols order of 1968, which is giving the power to the election commission to decide in case of a dispute. Okay, so in case of a split, then for whom they will apply or for whom these provisions will apply means again only registered national and state parties. Okay, you know there is a recognition for national and state parties based on their performance in the electoral system, no? Yes or no? National party and state party status will be given only after looking their election and performance in the previous election. Okay, that is what the difference between these are considered as registered and recognized parties. There is another category that is registered but unrecognized parties. If you have come across, what is the difference between registered but unrecognized parties means? All they may have newly registered and they may not face elections. For example, if a new party is formed today, okay, but they do not fight any elections, so they cannot be recognized immediately by the election commission. Okay, they have to wait for next elections, then they will be registered but unrecognized in that situation. And second situation is, but they have registered, they have fought elections, but they did not get what is the criteria they have to get. For example, there is a percentage mentioned, no, for national party, state party. If that criteria they did not meet, like they suffered losses in the election previously, next time they may improve. Okay, so till then they will be registered only but unrecognized. For these parties, this symbols order or this dispute settlement mechanism will not apply. Okay, it is only applicable for national and state parties, because you know the prominence of these parties is different. Okay, so when unrecognized parties have a dispute, how it will be settled means election commission will ask that try to solve within the walls of the party. If that is not solved, they'll ask them to go to the court. But election commission will not normally inquire and it will not decide for unrecognized parties. That is one basic difference you need to know. Clear? Here this is the main thing. Okay, and whatever the recommendation made by the election commission, that is binding. Okay, so the bindingness is there on the order of the election commission of India. Why this issue? Because recently Shiv Sena we have seen, now it is the term for NCP. Like this, many political parties are fighting for same election symbols, right? That is why UPSC can frame a statement saying that Constitution has given under Article so and have given the provisions with respect to this. So who is having the power? Or they can ask you whether the decision of the election commission is binding or not. Any such provisions can be asked. So these are the things which you have to focus. Okay. Then another important thing I told you is registered unrecognized party. They have to try to settle internally or they have to go to court. There won't be such thing. Okay. Then what is the criteria used? Okay. So normally the criteria used by election commission in resolving these disputes are these three things. Okay. So normally what is the aim and object of the party, even after splitting, whether they are abiding to the same party constitutional principles and objectives or not, that will be tested. Okay. Then party constitution. So whether they are sticking to the same constitution or in case if these two are not met, okay, then they'll go for test of majority. Means who are all MPs, MLAs, MLCs well elected from that party, they'll ask them to vote to which faction you want to belong. Okay, whoever supports the majority, that will be considered as actual faction, and other party will be there, no other faction you can say. They are asked to choose separate thing and they have to contest elections. Okay, so in case they can choose their own name. Okay, if they have sufficient number of MPs and MLAs, if they don't have, they have to fight elections again and they have to suggest their or they can suggest three symbols of available things. Okay, so from them one thing can be allocated by the Election Commission of India in the future. In this way, election symbols will be decided. And here Sadiq Ali case is a very important thing where this three-factor criteria is established. So this happened in 1972, Sadiq Ali case. In case if a mains question is asked, you can write. So in this case, what happened is, after Indira Gandhi, when she was the Prime Minister, there was some dispute with respect to election and she formed a separate faction out of Congress. Like that, a separate faction was out, no? At that point of time, this person, Sadiq Ali, he challenged this in the Election Commission's decision at that point of time. So till then, Election Commission did not face such situation, okay, to decide among the factions. So first time, they have gave these three criteria before the Supreme Court that based on these three criteria, from now onwards, if there is a dispute, then we'll try to judge this issue based on these three parameters. In this way, these three came out of the Sadiq Ali case which happened in 1972. Which one? This one. Party constitution. So normally every party will have a constitution. Okay. So even after the split, whether they are abiding to the same party constitution or not. Okay. If there is a change in the party constitution or if they wanted to deviate from the principles, then that faction will not be recognized. So they have to change new symbol. Okay. So normally what is the contention here is, if you generally observe every party, okay, in case if these things are not there, what they will do after every general election. So normally if they win or if they lose also, they'll fight elections on one symbol, no? After the election, if they wanted to split, what is the situation then? People will elect them based on the party symbol or based on the candidate. We don't know on what grounds they have judged. But after the elections, if they wanted to deviate and if they wanted to split and they're asking for the same symbol, then it will be like a violation of democratic principles, no? That means you don't know the people's mandate is getting subserved here. That is why Election Commission of India has given these three set of principles so that they cannot easily change. Okay, if these three things are not there, easily every party, they'll after the elections, okay, if you are not giving ticket, whoever are not given ticket, everyone will try to become a faction, they will try to divide from the party, no? In that situation, again, every time it will become an issue for the Election Commission to settle the symbols and party names for these parties. Okay, that is why they have given this particular robust mechanism. Okay, so that easily these things cannot be settled. Okay, any doubts? Election Commission of India is also so much in use. You should know what are the powers and functions, constitutional provisions. So you should know, like for example, there is no qualification mentioned for Election Commission and its members by the Constitution. Okay, so such questions can be trapped. Okay, so the Constitution has mentioned the qualification that he should be like a former IAS officer or something they can ask you. So there is no provision mentioned in the Constitution that they should have some qualification. Okay, these things, appointment procedure, there is a chance of reappointment also. That means future employments, there is no bar on the election commissions. So those things you have to keep in mind. So when you're reading, read along with Election Commission of India and the provisions. Clear? Any doubts? Is it confusing? You clear, okay? Then SC/ST subclassification, okay? This is also again an issue in news, right? So you know, in the recent times there is a high-powered committee formed to look into this issue, SC/ST subclassification. You know, okay? What is subclassification? Creamy layer within the caste.
Creating a
Classification within the caste, yes, okay? So you know, normally when there is a reservation, okay, for example, SCs, you know, they are entitled to around 15% reservation, okay? Within this, there may be different communities, just now we have seen, they vary from state to state, okay? Within this also, if they wanted division, for example, ABCD are there, okay? So for this ABCD also, if they wanted to give 2.5, 2.5 here, 5, and here if they want 5% and 5% based on the population or something. So that means a person belonging to this subcategory, they are entitled to 2.5% of reservation, okay? But now there is no such mechanism, no? So whoever is recognized as SC, they can be recognized under this 15% only. So that is what they are asking. That means some castes are within the SCs, they are getting more benefits or they are reaping all the benefits, and some other castes are excluded from the reservation or the benefits provided by the government. So they have put forward the demand that we want subclassification within SCs. So if you have seen, there is a subcategorization under basis, but there is no such thing under SC and STs. That is why this issue has come into picture. And you know, recently 7-judge constitutional bench of Supreme Court headed by our Chief Justice of India is also looking into this issue, because what is the thing you have to keep in mind is, again, previously there is a case, E.V. Chennaiya versus Andhra Pradesh in 2004, okay? So in this case, landmark case, at that point of time, Supreme Court said that states doesn't have any power to subclassify, okay? Because if you see this notification of scheduled castes or tribes is done by the Parliament of India itself, right? Okay, when Parliament is having the authority and the President is notifying, then how states can subclassify? That is what questioned in this E.V. Chennaiya versus State of Andhra Pradesh case. Then recently in 2020, there is another case filed in the Supreme Court. Then Supreme Court has changed its previous stand in 2004, and it said no, subclassification done by a state is constitutionally valid. But they said this time valid, and to look into this issue more, okay, how to better do this particular issue and all, for these things they said it is better to advise that a larger bench will look into these issues. At that time, 5-judge bench is there. So a larger bench means 7-judge bench. So now that bench, that particular case has come in the form of this 7-judge bench, okay, in this way. So there is complete reversal, because some states like Punjab, Haryana and some other states, they tried to subclassify. When they subclassified, you know, some will get benefited and some don't like the decision. So who don't like the decision, they went to Supreme Court challenging that state doesn't have power to subclassify, okay. Now, even with respect to this, you have to look into 2 dimensions, okay. One is, here Supreme Court is going to look whether this is having constitutional validity or not, because you know, normally under Article 16 or 15, fundamental rights, only Parliament have a law, no. So if they wanted to add even 15 clause 6, 16 clause 6 with respect to EWS also, who made laws? It is the Parliament, right? Okay. Then how states can subclassify, whether they have power or not, this is going to be looked, one thing. Second thing is, this committee is also formed by the central government, okay, but this committee has no relation here. So they are not going to look whether they have constitutional validity or not, but other than subclassification, is there any other way, okay, so that these people can have their concerns addressed. Did you understand? Supreme Court is going to look into constitutional validity, okay, it is looking into constitutional validity and whether states have power or not. And this committee which is formed by central government, it doesn't have any power to look into reservation and the constitutional validity, but it has to recommend other measures without even subclassifying also. Is there any other measure to solve the grievances of certain communities who are asking for subclassification? That is what the job of this committee, okay. So 2 things are going on parallelly. This is what you have to keep in mind. Clear? So here, states do not have the power. This is what judged in 2004 judgment. We'll see that also. You can see states like Punjab, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, they have tried to subcategorize, okay. So that is what challenged in Supreme Court. Then you can see this is what E.V. Chennaiya versus State of Andhra Pradesh in 2004, okay. In this case, what did Supreme Court say? Scheduled castes under 341 or part of a single community, okay. So And another thing they said is state did not have legislative power to create classifications because it would violate right to equality also, and the power is with the parliament itself. Okay, so when it is violating article 14 under right to equality and states are not having power to subclassify as it is under article 341 and 342 president will notify. That is why it is not under your domain. That is what announced in this particular case. Okay, so but now what happened? Later on, parliament is notifying, but states cannot do this. Okay, and you can see here Devendra Singh versus state. Okay, you have in 2020 this case. Here 5-judge bench of Supreme Court only said subcategorization is constitutional valid. Okay, it is not having any lacunae or it is not violating any right to equality. It has reversed its earlier judgment. Okay, and it said it is better that larger bench will look into this issue and give the guidelines and rules. So now you can see, so NCSC and NCST said constitutional mandate or amendment is not necessary to subclassify. Okay, as you are providing the same reservation. Okay, so they are saying like for 10, you can see in case of EWS 10% extra reservation is given. That means new reservation within 50% you have given, that is open to all. So here you are doing 15% subcategorization only, no, you are not adding any reservation benefits, no. That is why NCSC and NCST said there is no requirement of any constitutional amendment. Means in case if they have to be implemented by parliament, then it will be introduced as which type of law or which type of bill which doesn't require constitutional amendment. Means how many types of bills are there? How many types of bills are there? What are those 4? Very good. So these are the 4 bills we have. Okay. So this is having no relation with money or financial bill, right? If it is not requiring a constitutional amendment, means which type of bill it is? Ordinary bill. Means it can be introduced in any house. Simple majority is required. Presidential assent means again 3 options will be there for the President of India. No prior permission is required. Even in case of any disagreement, joint session also can be convened. So you should generally think, okay, so when these things are there. Then they said Article 16 clause 4 of the Constitution is saying that there can be some special provisions provided, no. So if there is some mention of special laws that can be created for the backward classes and SCs and STs, then this is also valid. That is what the point raised by NCSC and NCST. So these are 2 constitutional bodies only. You have this under 338 of Indian Constitution and this is under 338A. Okay, which amendment has bifurcated these 2? Which amendment has bifurcated NCSC and NCST? I saw many of you writing tests. Then that is what I have asked. Yes? 80? No, not 82. You came here, but 86. Very good. 89th amendment in 2003. Okay. So it was bifurcated. Previously, we have only one body, that is NCSC. Okay. And 338B is with respect to which body? Very good. NCBC. Initially, it was a statutory body, but now it was given constitutional status. No? So this is what you have to keep in mind, right? So in January itself, Union government has formed a 5-member committee of different secretaries, like from tribal affairs, scheduled castes and all. So chaired by the cabinet secretary to look into this issue, but they're not going to touch any aspects of reservation or constitutional validity. They have to explore other means to settle this issue of subclassification. Okay, because of why this issue is raising more often is, they are raised mainly because of lack of equal opportunities. Okay, some people or some communities are only reaping all the benefits. So these are the things which are claimed by some communities asking for subclassification. You can see what are the stand taken by the center in the Supreme Court. They said there are flaw laws in the 2004 judgment. That means what? In the Supreme Court, this is what center has raised. That means, is center in favor of subclassification or against? In favor. Okay, because again a political benefit. Okay, then concept of equality is operating at the dual level. Dual level means what? Concept of equality is operating at the dual level. That is what the stand maintained by the center in Supreme Court. See, here you are saying SC and STs, why they are given reservation? Because we think that they are not having equal opportunities along with other communities. This is one level of equality. But within them also, if only one community is enjoying all the benefits, then deprived of this equality, this is what they wanted to ensure, equality at the dual level. Okay, that is what the center said, that will be ensured with the subclassification. Okay, then reservation benefits are limited in nature. Okay, so only certain communities are getting, that is why it is limited, and you can see reservation is key to achieve the objective of upliftment of these communities. In this way, these are the answers informed by the center in the Supreme Court, okay, with respect to this issue. Then, clear with this? Any doubts? Okay, then with respect to increase in the age of Supreme Court and High Court judges, okay. So, why this is in news? Anyone have come across this? 75 years penchmanara? No? Okay, okay. Not that, that is not the issue or the background, but what is the issue is, here recently parliamentary committee, okay, on justice and law, there will be parliamentary committees, right? They have suggested that in case if there is an increase in the age of judges of Supreme Court and High Court, it would be good for the judiciary, because lot of vacancies are there. So, in 65 years compared to the other parts of the world, it is very less, okay. And recently, another interesting thing is, our former Chief Justice N.V. Ramana, so when he met his US counterpart, that is Supreme Court Judge of US, Chief Justice of US Supreme Court, you can say. So at that point of time, he said in a conversation, it seems that he is 83 years old and he is retiring himself voluntarily. Okay, but he was forced to retire at the age of 65 years. That is what he expressed, an anguish type of thing in his farewell speech. Okay, that is what I found in one video. So that means actually they wanted to continue for long. 65 years is not an early age according to their own perception. So they don't want to resign or retire immediately after 65. So they wanted to continue. And if you see in the recent times, almost 8 judges or so in the present Supreme Court, they are having only tenure of 8.5 years in the Supreme Court on total, okay. And average age, if you see, 5 years is the age, okay, from elevation as a Supreme Court judge to their retirement. That means they are having very less time. If they wanted to introduce any changes or if they wanted to make some notable remarks or notable things, then that time is less. That is what they are asking for, okay. But will the center agree to this? All the time they want fresh candidates, no? Because the same person, okay. So if a Chief Justice who is against center's ideology, it beat any party in the past. If any party is there and that ideology is differing from the CJS ideology, then he will become the troublemaker for the government, right? Not everyone will be in favor, okay? So then what will happen? The government will have to face lot of issues because government of India will be the main litigant in most of the cases. Yes or no? That is why government doesn't want this to happen. So simply when the parliamentary committee said, government of India said, no, we are not exploring this possibility of increase in the age. What did the answer they will say? Guess. ఎంత ఏజ్ చెప్పు 60 తర్వాత అందరికి ఇది లేదన్నట్టేనా Okay, that is not the case, no. Now they are becoming so modern, socialized. Okay, so center is saying that it should not be the case because fresh entries ki adi problem avutundi. Like they are also saying there should not be this like you can say nexus between executive and judiciary also can develop. So these things are suggested from the side of center. But most important thing you have to remember is with respect to Supreme Court, another thing as he raised is Supreme Court recently has celebrated Diamond Jubilee. Okay, 75 years of its existence. Okay, so in this context you should know everything about Supreme Court. Okay, so what are the jurisdictions we have discussed briefly in the previous class. You should know what is the appointment procedure, what is the removal procedure, everything. Okay, like election commission, Supreme Court is also important because it celebrated 75 years of existence. Then you should also know who will appoint the judges of Supreme Court and High Court, how the strength of Supreme Court will be determined. Who will determine the strength of Supreme Court? Parliament. Yes, Parliament can increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court by law. Second thing is, who will increase the number of judges in High Court? No. No. This is what you will get into. That is what I know. Most of the people, again, they'll think parliament. But for High Court judges number, it will be determined by President of India and not the parliament. Read back polity. Okay. In polity, there is a line mentioned if you study under High Court, the strength of the High Court judges will be determined by the President of India. Okay. How many judges should be there? So these things you have to compare and prepare together. Okay. Then, you know, there is also a provision, you know, normally there will be who can become a Supreme Court judge? What are the qualifications? For how many years?
5 years.
5 years or 10 years?
5 months.
5 years. Advocate for 10 years. Third one, eminent jurist in the opinion of President of India, not in our opinion, in the opinion of President of India. Okay, these are the three things. And this eminent jurist principle is not applicable for high courts. Do remember it. Okay, they have their own criteria again. So these things you have to know. Their salaries are charged on Consolidated Fund of India, both Supreme Court, okay, judges, including CJ. High Court charged on Consolidated Fund of the state, but pensions for both on the Consolidated Fund of India, because during their tenure they will be changing many high courts, no, so they cannot pay. So again, it is on the Consolidated Fund of India. These are the things you can, okay. And with respect to removal, is there any provision on the Constitution with respect to the procedure of removal of judges of Supreme Court and High Court? I am not asking about the procedure, but what is the procedure mentioned? No, is this procedure mentioned in the Constitution itself or not? Then specific ga adiganante no na? Yes. Then what is Judges Enquiry Order of our Act in 1968? This is where you fall into trap again, okay. Constitution is silent on this aspect. There is only mentioned that on the grounds of proved misbehavior and incapacity, a judge can be removed by the President of India. But you know, for initiation of that motion, how many members? In Lok Sabha, 100 members. In Rajya Sabha, 50 members. Again, the presiding officer may admit or may not admit. This procedure is there, no? So 2/3 majority. So this procedure is contained in the Judges Removal Enquiry Act of 1968 and not in the Constitution of India. Okay? This is what you have to keep in mind. Yes? Understood? Has any judge been impeached so far? No. Okay. Is there any initiation of proceedings so far to remove a judge? Yes. Yes. Ranjan Gogoi. Not only him, previously we have Deepak Mishra also. Chief Justice, against these two we have proceedings, and for judges also 2-3 judges are there. Okay. So we have judges, but these proceedings did not complete. Okay. So this is what you have to keep in mind. And with respect, yes. See, at that point of time, judges, they have been independent, okay. So their impartiality, independence have to be protected, no. If it is easy, then later the governments will easily change the judges, right? That is why if it is passed with simple majority, easily judge can be removed. At that point of time, the issue is different, right? In the recent times, there is a growing nexus between executive and judiciary. Although there is a strict separation of executive and judiciary, under which article again? Article 50 of Directive Principles of State Policy, right? But still, there is a growing nexus in the recent times. Ippudu chustunaru meer judiciary corrupt ayinattu. But in the previous times, we have very good judges who have decency in the law and they have maintained those principles, right? Independence is preserved at that point of time. But now, there is a change, okay? So, they're trying to tilt towards the government, whoever, okay. So again, government kuda me chuste collegium lo wall interference gaani, collegium tried to be independent gaani. So this rift again. So this is all because in the recent times we have seen these trends. Previously that is not the trend, because if you have to protect the independence of judiciary, which is also one feature under basic structure, this have to be there. Okay, so you see removal of judges is also not directly by the executive, no. That is one of the principle under independence of judiciary. So if it is directly done by the executive with easy majority, then it violates the independence. So then later, even if they include simple majority, that will be made null and void by the Supreme Courts. Yes or no? Automatically that will be like a remote control only, no? So for better judges who worked in their favor, there will be promotions, otherwise there will be demotions. Yes or no? The same thing will happen. Clear? So here you know, in case if this retirement age increased is there, so it has to be amended. So which articles again? You have 124 for Supreme Court and 217 for High Court. Okay. So these two articles will deal with appointment of judges. So you know, when there is appointment with respect to retirement age also, there is, as I told you in the previous class also, if there is minimum age mentioned, there won't be maximum age. As there is maximum age mentioned, there is no minimum age for Supreme Court and High Court judges. So here, increase, if there is an increase, okay, so from 65, this is for Supreme Court, for High Court it is 62. So if these have to be increased, there should be an amendment, means constitutional amendment has to be passed, okay, amending article for the Supreme Court and High Court, okay. Yes, someone has raised, yes, no, okay. So debate, with respect to this debate means you can see there was not sufficient time, okay, meaningfully for this contribution, okay, whether there you have to assess and all this is one reason they said. And CJ Ramana, as I told you, 65 was the too early age for retirement, as he said, and out of the 32 judges in the present time, only these many judges have crossed, that means 5 judges or 6 judges only have crossed 8-year tenure at Supreme Court, okay. This is why they are asking for increase in the retirement age. Then why does the government oppose? Undue favoritism, okay. In case if this is increased, that will result in favoritism. This will result in empowering the Supreme Court Collegium, which government of India doesn't even want, okay. So when Collegium want executive control to be minimal, judiciary also will expect the same, right? So executive is also expecting that there should not be more powers with the Supreme Court Collegium, okay. So if a difficult judge comes, then they'll make the trouble for the government, right? That is what they don't want. And this is also susceptible to the pressures, okay. So if they're having more tenure, they can have more pressures. And beside this, you can see this is also avoidable burden on the limited man resources or manpower on the executive and judiciary, okay. This is one stand which Centre has set in the Parliament with respect to this committee recommendations, okay. Then, with respect to this, okay, a very highly probable topic for this CA prelims, okay. CART cell therapy, not only this, with respect to cancer or the causing agents and the cells, any level, a question can be expected, okay. So here you should know, first thing is it is indigenous, means our own country made technique, and CART is cell therapy, okay. What is the full form for this? Anyone? CART is cell therapy. Okay, no worries, take your time, I'll explain later. But here you should understand, this is a kind of immunotherapy. What is the meaning of the word immunotherapy? Immunotherapy means from your own immune system, some part will be taken and that only will be cultured, okay, using biotechnological things, and that will again be implanted into your body. Means from your own immune system, okay, it is not something external. That is what immunotherapy. So this is a kind of immunotherapy. So for this to understand, you need to know one basic thing is, everyone have blood, right? In this blood, we have RBCs, WBC and blood platelets, right? What is the job of RBC? Very good. In exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, that is the main role of RBC. Then what about platelets? Clotting the blood. Yes or no? Then what about WBC? To fight against infections. Okay. Again, WBCs are classified into number of types. Okay. Number of cells are there under white blood cells. Okay. For example, neutrophils, basophils, monocytes, lymphocytes. Like this, we have number of cells within WBCs. Main job of WBC is itself fighting infections. Okay. In this one category we have is lymphocytes. Within lymphocytes, again you have 3 types of cells. One is B cell, T cell and killer cells. Okay, interesting. So B cells means they will be there in the bone marrow. That is why B means bone marrow, they will be there. So what is the main thing is, in case of any attack or infection outside the cell, then B cells will activate. Outside the cell, any infection. T cells means these are in the which region? T, guess. Yes, it is in that particular region which is fighting any infection within the cell. Okay, this is what the basic difference you have to understand. B cells are fighting any infection outside the cell, and these are the T cells which are within the cell if there is any infection. You know, cancer means what? Cells will replicate at a faster rate, which is not natural. That is what meaning of the word cancer, right? So cells are growing unnaturally at a faster rate. So if these cells are infected, then T cells are used in this therapy. That is why CAR-T cell therapy we are calling. That means T cells will be taken from that particular patient's blood. Okay. After taking the T cells, what happens is, in case if this is a cell, okay, T cell. So T cells, what they'll have is, normally B cells will have this type of thing, okay, a crown type of thing, which is called as receptor, okay. In that R, CAR-T, R stands for receptor. You answer the other things, okay. Receptor. What is the job of this receptor means? Normally, in case if we have any infection, okay, so in the last year or last month or something, then this is a job of the receptor to remember and recognize what type of virus and what type of symptoms we have. So all that information will be stored by this receptor. That means in case of any similar attack in the future, they will show the same type of response which it has shown previously. That is what the job of receptor. So normally B cells will have this receptors, but not T cells. Okay, but T cells have the ability to fight infection within the cells, no? That is why we are taking the cells out, T cells out from the patient's blood, and we are having this receptor, okay. So this receptor is getting attached to these T cells using biotechnological things, and then this receptor along with T cells will be placed in the body so that it is fighting against the cancer cells. That is what the actual therapy of CAR-T. Clear? Did you understand? Both are with respect to immune system only, but the place of where they occur and what is the function is varying for these two cells, okay, B cells and T cells. Here you have to remember is, these T cells are added with receptors using biotechnological things. This is not done naturally, okay. So you are taking out T cells and you are adding receptors so that these receptors, what they will do, they will multiply, okay. After adding receptors, these cells are multiplied, so those multiplied cells will be again placed into the human body so that they will show some immune system against this cancer cells. In that way, it will work out, okay. As I said, this is an immunotherapy, means from your own immune system, you are showing reaction towards, or you are showing a solution towards curing cancer, okay. That is the technology behind CAR-T. Clear? So why it is in news means, in the recent time, especially in the state of Maharashtra, one person is cured completely free of cancer using this cell therapy for the first time. And this is indigenous thing, okay. So who have developed this, okay. So previously, you know, this is organization and ImmunoACT. This is the organization which have developed this therapy name, okay. This is the technology behind it. But the name of this treatment or therapy is NexCAR19. This was developed by ImmunoACT, okay. Even developing agents is also important. They can change this and they can make a statement, okay. So you have to remember these things. Then CDSCO, have you heard about this? Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, okay. So when any drug has to be released into the market, CDSCO or any medicine, not only medicine, any diagnostics, treatment kit, everything, okay, they have to get approval from the CDSCO. Okay, so this was given approval in 2023 for this particular therapy, okay. So using this therapy, now a patient was completely made free of cancer, okay. So another important thing is, there is so much of reduction in the treatment cost. Previously it used to cost 2 to 4 crores of rupees, okay, to cure a cancer, but now it was reduced to 20 to 30 lakhs itself only, okay. So a significant reduction you can say, but still it is costlier only. So here you can see CAR-T, it is a revolutionary therapy that modifies immune cells that is specifically T cells. Okay, you're modifying the immune system, turning them into potent cancer fighters or CAR-T cells. Okay, so you can see these are special cells, especially in the white blood cell. You can fight them. Okay, so you can see them to fight infection, whose primary function is cytotoxic, means they will kill other types of cells. Okay, within the cell I told you, T cells and B cells, basic fundamental difference is B cell will function outside of the cell, any infection. T cell within the cell, any infection will be tackled by T cell. This is what you have to keep in mind. Then CAR-T cell therapy genetically modifies them. Genetically means biological, biotechnological things like GM crops. We are changing the traits. No, same way T cells are don't having receptors. No, those receptors are getting added. So these supercharged cells, you can see, these are again put back into the body. So afterwards they will fight this particular cancers, especially blood cancers like leukemia and lymphomas. This is showing good progress in these two types of cancers, blood cancers. Okay. Then you can see, while chemotherapy and immunotherapy, they may add few months, but this is only for a, like you can say during this chemotherapy and all, you can reduce the cancer and you can expand the life of that person for months only. But now we are extending it even into the life. Okay, so chemotherapy, you know, normally it will happen in different sessions. That person have to undergo radiation and all these things. But in this issue, only one session or one therapy session you will have, but it is showing cure for lifelong. So you are completely getting free. That is one another advantage. So it makes the treatment easier with one-time therapy itself. Okay, this is another advantage of CAR-T cell therapy. You can see this is designed to target cancer cells that carry this CD9 protein. Okay, this protein is getting attached in the form of that receptor to recognize any future infection, because you know most of the times you heard about this cancer patients ki malli ochindi tirigi ochindi ani antuntaru kada. So that cancer not to recognize or not to come again. So these receptors will store that information in case of any future attack also, or if any cell again gets this cancer, then receptor will recognize and it will start attacking on these cancer cells. In this way it is curing. So you can see this is like a flag on cancer cells. This flag, okay, receptor type of thing. This is on the cancer cells and it will attack these CAR-T cells to recognize and attach themselves to the cancer cells, and they'll start this process of elimination. Now India is one of the country which is in the among the developing countries which is having such therapy, and you know this is only there. This type of questions can also be asked. So it is available for all the ages. Such statement can be asked. So it is not available for children now. Only for persons above 15 years of age only it is administered now. This is again a trap. Okay, this type of question can be asked. What is CAR-T then? In the time ichina cheppatledu. No, A means not auto, antigen. Yes, Chusara, chimeric, antigen, receptor, T cell therapy. Okay, that is what. Here, the main thing you should know, the again fundamental basic difference between antigen and antibody. What is antigen and antibody?
Antibody fights against antibody.
Antigen is a foreign element, alien to our body. Okay, antibodies are those are soldiers brought by our defense system. Okay, antibodies function against antigen. Antigen is a foreign thing, right? Okay, then next topic is with respect to appointment of governors in a state. Okay, so this issue as a whole is important, not this particular why it is in news and all. So if you see, recently Punjab governor has resigned, citing some reasons. Okay, that is why I have taken this issue. Although resignation is not so important, but the office of governor is so much in news. So that is why you need to know everything about office of governor. Okay, so what are the recent controversies we are seeing in respect of governor? Quickly name a few. Okay, not giving assent to the bills. That is first one. Second. Okay, as you told about assent of the bills. So with respect to assent, what are the options available to the governor? In case of an ordinary bill, what are the options available to the governor if an ordinary bill is tabled before him? 4, very good. So he can give assent, he can return for reconsideration, he can withhold assent, and he can put it for president's consideration. Okay, these are the 4 options before a governor. With respect to money bill, he can ask mandatory. I think there are some other options also. Okay, and that is discretionary in normal situations, but in one situation it is mandatory. Very good. When financial emergency is imposed, then governor has to reserve money bill for the consideration of President of India. In that situation, it is mandatory. Then a money bill cannot be returned, but can it be withheld? It can be withheld. Okay, but it cannot be returned because they'll introduce it with the prior consideration of the governor itself, right? That is why he cannot return, but he can withhold. Okay, this is with respect to money bill. Then constitutional bill. Why? He has to give assent. Okay, at least you have this raised validity. Okay, you can say yes, constitutional amendment bills cannot be tabled in the state legislature. Okay, in case in the center, what is the option for the President of India? Which amendment has included this? 44th or 42nd amendment? I told you already previously that good things are done by which amendment? At least to save the constitution. 44th. 42nd amendment tried to make the Prime Minister or the executive more authoritarian, right? So they have decreased the constitutional restrictions and they tried to increase. So I'm asking, this mandatory giving of assent in respect of constitutional bills is added by which amendment of Indian Constitution? 24th amendment in 1971. Okay, again during Indira Gandhi's tenure, she added this provision. Okay, so she want this to happen because 24th amendment is related to one of the provisions in fundamental rights. Some one case also is related to this. What is it? Keshwananda Bhati case happened in 1973 itself, no? What happened in that case, why it was challenged? Fundamental rights at that point of time, okay? So whether they can amend these things or not is, whether parliament can amend fundamental rights or not is a question, okay? So in case if parliament is having restricted powers and if constitutional amendment bill is passed and if President of India has many options, then that may have judicial scrutiny, So that is why she made amendment that President has to give assent for the constitutional amendment bills. Subsequently later Keshwananda Bhati case also came into picture, okay? So because of parliament amending powers, okay, with respect to fundamental rights, this was challenged. Then with respect to assent is one. And second issue, why office of governor is in use? Flow test, very good. Who said flow test? Okay, good. So with respect to flow test means, or they following their own discretion or they're listening to the executive voice. If they're listening to the executive, why will be the controversy? Yes or no? So as they're not listening to the or adhering to the decision of their council of ministers sometimes, okay? So there is some discretion provided to the governor and president, okay? So there is 2 types of discretion mentioned. What are those 2? Constitutional discretion and situational discretion, both are there. Some discretionary powers are only there with the governor, not there with the President of India. Can you name anything? Oh, okay, recommending president rule. Then situational discretion. And that is not there with the Prime Minister, in case of President with respect to Prime Minister. And what else? If you have seen this office of governor, it went even to the Supreme Court, no? Recently so many cases were filed before Supreme Court. Supreme Court also said how the office of governor should be neutral, independent, impartial. Why it is happening? Yes. Is there any other situational discretion only available with the governor? Constitutional discretion eppudu undi? In what situations governor and president of India enjoys constitutional discretion? Means they can appoint anyone of their choice. Okay, means that when there is no clear cut majority, or in case of a hung assembly, okay, at that point of time when there is no clear verdict, then president and governor can call one party which they think that they are enjoying majority, and then they can convene a floor test. That is one situation where they have constitutional discretion. Second, dissolving assembly means when they have lost majority on the floor of the house, it is mandatory thing. Okay, at that point of time prime minister will advise, no, you give me one chance. Most of the times everyone will request the same thing, no. At that point of time, in case if they lost majority, president and governor have to dissolve the lower house. Then summoning will be done on the aid and advice of the council of ministers. It is not their own discretion in case of death of chief minister or prime minister also. Okay, so then also in case if there is no party that is enjoying clear cut majority, at that point of time also they can use their discretion. This is what mentioned as constitutional discretion. But situational discretion is only there with the governor, it is not there for the president of India. Okay, so that means compared to the governor, governor has somewhat free hand, you can say, but president of India hands are tightly tied by the executive. So there is no chance that they can deviate from the aid and advice of the council of ministers. Okay, because subsequent amendments were made with respect to president's office, but not with respect to governor. Okay, so union government have tried to strengthen executive's role. That means within the executive also they tried to increase the strength of prime ministers and council of ministers than the president. Okay, that is why these discretionary powers are also one issue. Then what are the other things? In the recent times we don't have, but Article 356 imposition, with respect to that also there is an issue that governors are arbitrarily imposing Article 356 in case of hung assembly, means without exploring the ways that whether any government is ready to form or not. That is another issue. Then with respect to chancellor appointments in universities, you have missed. Yes or no? You are about to ask something. That is what happened, no? So now all the states like West Bengal, Kerala, they wanted to make chief ministers. Even Telangana also tried to make previously, erstwhile government. Okay, so they wanted to make chief ministers as the councillors of state universities instead of governor. Okay, because vice chancellor appointments also have become political. So at that point of time also this office of governor has been so much in use. Then with respect to reservation to the president of India, okay, reserving the bills. So that happened in case of Tamil Nadu governor. So he did not initially give assent. Later on, when the chief minister is so much politically saying that he is not giving assent and all, then he said these bills have some like contrary provisions and all, so we are reserving this bill for the presidential consent. And second time, so first instance, the difference you have to keep in mind is when it is reserved for presidential consideration, at that point of time, president can ask the state assembly to reconsider. But after reconsideration, normally it is bound on the president or governor. But in this case, it is not bound or it is not binding on the president to give assent in case of a state bill. This is what you have to keep in mind. Yes, did you understand? Normally, if a president or governor asks a bill to be reconsidered, so second time if it is passed again, so it has to be passed. That means it has to be given assent by the president or governor. But in case if a state bill is reserved for presidential consent, okay, it went near the president. So president again have sent it to the state assembly asking to reconsider. After that, it is not binding on the president to give assent. Okay. At that point of time also president can simply sit silent as long as he can. Okay. This is one thing. Then financial emergency, not like with respect to fiscal federalism issues are there, no? That is why, yes, okay. And what else are the issues that office of governor is facing now? With respect to appointments also, yes or no? There is no rigid tenure fixed by the constitution, no? 5 years is a norm, but you know, again if there is a change in political party, they're changing the governors. So impartiality itself is being in question. That is also one issue raised, okay. So we have different commissions, no? Sarkaria Commission, Poonchi Commission. So these are all on center-state relations, okay. So even with respect to center-state relations, we have many number of tensions, but with respect to governor, these are the commissions and the recommendations you have to go through, okay. So they can ask you. So with respect to this, just you have to remember that governor's role is a dual role in the Indian Constitution, okay. So as a centers agent and also head of the state, okay. That means he is the executive head of the state. So these are the two things which the constitution is expecting from the office of governor, okay. So the office of governor we have taken from which constitution? Office of governor. Canada. Think and answer. Very good. Government of India Act 1935. But the process of appointment of governor by center, it was taken from Canadian Constitution, because Canada is also a federation like us, no? That is why appointment by center is done by, or it is taken from Canadian Constitution, but office of governor is taken from 1935 Act, Government of India Act 1935, okay? Do keep these things in mind. So part 6 of Indian Constitution, especially from 153 to 162, it will deal with the office of governors, different things, okay? You can see he is having a dual role, head of the state and also link between the center and states, okay? Here you can see. Next one you have is 153, you know, there is a mandate. In the initial thing we have only one governor for one state, okay? That is by the constitution itself. But you know, subsequently 7th amendment in 1956 added a provision that there can be one governor for 2 or more states also, okay? This was already asked in UPSC prelims. Then Article 155 is saying that governor of a state shall be appointed by the President of India, okay? So there is no qualification except 2 things. What are those 2 things? Citizen of India and 35 years of age. Only those are the 2 necessary qualifications a governor should possess, okay? Then Article 156. Do remember, he should not be native to the state or he should be apolitical. All these are the things which are suggested by Sarkaria Commission. It is not spelled in the Constitution of India, okay? Then Article 156 is saying that they should hold office during pleasure of the President. Who will all hold during the pleasure of President? Council of Ministers, good. Governor. One post will change after every elections. Even in Telangana also, that post will resign and again new person is appointed after the recent government. Very good. Attorney General, okay, and Advocate General of a state. So those also hold office during pleasure of President and Governor. Not only them, even civil servants also hold office during pleasure of President of India. You people, okay, you are aspiring to be civil servants, right? So you also, okay. So this doctrine of pleasure is important and you should know for whom this will apply, okay. As I told you, executive, center and state, you have governor, you have Attorney General and Advocate General, and you have civil servants. They hold during the office of, or you can say pleasure of President, okay. Then only they'll have. That means pleasure means there is no removal conditions are mentioned, okay. That means in case if they don't like, they can remove. There is no stipulated condition that in case of violation of these provisions only they can be removed or something, okay. No reasons have to be stated. That is what meaning of the word pleasure. And you know, in the recent times, okay, functioning, you know, aid and advice is most important thing, okay. He cannot act on his discretion except in 2-3 situations, okay. Other than everything, he has to take the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Even with respect to summoning, proroguing, dissolving also, okay. Dissolving means again if they lost majority, then discretion. But in normal situation, if they wanted, for example, you know, previously Telangana former Chief Minister KCR, he went pre-term elections, no? 6 months before only he went. At that time, he asked to dissolve the assembly. That means When they wanted to dissolve also, then Prime Minister and Chief Minister can advise. At that time also it is advising only. It is not discretion. Only when they lost majority it is a discretion. Okay. This is another thing you have to keep in mind. And this power of summoning and proroguing is one which have become controversial, because with respect to Maharashtra recent flow test, or previously in Nabam Rebia case, Arunachal Pradesh also, this is a issue that was highlighted, right? Because the governor did not follow the aid and advice of the executive, they have called it according to their own convenience. Means in Nabam Rebia case, what happened is one day before, actually the chief minister asked to convey on next day, but governor has conducted flow test even day before only. What happened because of this? That government has lost majority. Okay, horse trading is the most common thing in case of flow test. So this person went to the Supreme Court. This is what happened in case of even S.R. Bommai case also. S.R. Bommai was the former Chief Minister of Karnataka. So he was also displaced in the same manner without giving a chance for conducting flow test. So he went to Supreme Court. That is what resulted in S.R. Bommai case. Same thing happened, similar thing, date change, okay, that happened in this Nabam Rebia case. So in these cases, what Supreme Court said is, summoning power is also on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers only, okay. Until unless he lost majority, he is the only person who is commanding, no. So his aid and advice is mandatory on the governor. You cannot choose your date of your own choice. That is what Supreme Court said, okay. And in Nabam Rebia case, the displaced government was again reinstalled by the Supreme Court. Means again that same person was asked to form the government, because governor has pre-called the assembly for session, okay. And in the recent times, why did it not happen in Maharashtra assembly is, Supreme Court also said the same thing in its verdict, because this person Thackeray, he did not wait for flow test, he himself resigned and he then went to Supreme Court. When he himself resigned, Supreme Court also cannot reinstate the government. That is what Supreme Court said. If you have waited till the flow test, and if the flow test is not convened according to your aid and advice, then we could have reinstated. But you yourself have resigned. That is why they could not reinstate this Uddhav Thackeray's government against this Eknath Shinde. Okay, that is what the observation made by Supreme Court. So this is what discretionary powers has created so much of friction with the state governments. So these are the cases. Okay, when you are writing about office of governor in any mains answers, okay, so it is very important that at least, see, I am not advising to write a case in every answer. Okay, but in polity, like if you wanted to make your answer exceptional or different from others, you have to get some more marks, no? 1 or 2 marks every answer counts, okay. That is why try to mention landmark cases for different articles or different important sections. For example, fundamental rights. You have to write Keshwananda Bharti case, Minerva Mills case, or anything which is related. And with respect to this, you have to write Nabam Rebia case, you have Shamsher Khan versus State of Punjab, you have Shamsher Singh NS, you have S.R. Bommai case, like this landmark cases are there, no? With respect to anti-defection, what is the case? Kihetto Holohan case you have, okay? With respect to 9th schedule, IR Kelho case you have. Like this you have to remember and write down at one place. And when you're just revising, when you're just going to sit for GS2, just revise them, okay? So these are going to be value addition to your answers. Collect all these cases and the topic related cases at one place, okay? Don't write in your running notes so that you don't remember anything. Then these are the things, okay? So they are asked to be independent, and these are the issues we have discussed mainly. Any doubts? In case of death of governor, Chief Justice of the State High Court, in his absence, any High Court judge can perform. Okay, so this did not happen in the states, because normally, in case of a death, in the recent times, what they're doing is they're asking the surrounding state, or the beside you have some states, so they're asking to take us in charge. Okay, but previously this happened in the case of center. So President of India died. Vice President is not able to perform his duty, then Chief Justice Hidayatullah is a person who discharged as a President of India. His term came, okay. So he acted as President for few days, acting President we call, who is not full-fledged President, okay. So this happened in Chief Justice of India's case only once, Hidayatullah, okay. Then next topic is Lok Sabha passing the finance bill, okay. You should know the difference between money bill and finance bill, right? How many of you know clear differentiation between money bills, finance bills and their passing? Raise your hands. For those who raise, I am not going to ask any questions. For those who don't raise, I'll ask questions. Only 2. So I can ask many questions. Yes? Okay, let as a group answer now whether all money bills or financial bills or all financial bills or money bills. Which statement is correct? All money bills or financial bills or all financial bills or money bills. Which first statement is right? All money bills or financial bills. Yes? Everyone agree to this? Anyone is choosing the second one? Any deviation? You want to choose second one? Yes. Okay. But first one is correct. All money bills or financial bills, but not all financial bills or money bills. Okay. This is first thing you have to know. Then you should know what is the difference between money bill and finance bill. You know what is a money bill? Article 110. Okay. Which is dealing with expenditure part of Government of India. Okay. So whatever that Government of India earns or whatever the borrowings or whatever the expenditure that goes out of consolidated fund of India, made expenditure, charged expenditure and anything, okay, interest receipts, payments, everything will be part of money bill. Okay. So you know money bill has to be tabled only in Lok Sabha and only on prior recommendation of President of India, and there is no provision of joint sitting. President cannot return the bill. Okay. These are some conditions we have. Then with respect to finance bill, you have 2 categories again, type 1 and type 2, 117 clause 1 and 117 clause 3. It's not 2, 3. Okay. So 117 clause 1 and 3, this is what the difference will be here. 117 clause 1 is all like any provision with respect to money bill along with some general provisions. So in money bill it should be only related to money only. But in case if that legislature is requiring any general features, then along with the provisions of money bill, if any other general provisions have to be added, then it has to be tabled as financial bill category 1. Okay. Then financial bill category 2 means any money bill, what are the matters mentioned, no, except those if there is any other expenditure that has to be incurred, then that has to be tabled as financial bill category 2. Okay. This is what you have to understand. Clear the difference? Category 2. So other than money bill, if there is any other expenditure that has to be incurred, that will be tabled as financial bill category 2. In financial bill 1, money bill provisions plus general provisions if are to be there, then it will be passed as financial bill 1. Okay. Here the difference is financial bill also the category 1 has to be tabled only in Lok Sabha like money bill and only on the prior president's recommendation only. Okay. But it can be passed even in joint session. Other things will be same, but Lok Sabha with respect to introduction only in Lok Sabha and prior recommendation of President, these 2 things will be similar with respect to money bill and financial bill category 1. Okay. Other things, joint session, Rajya Sabha, you know, normally in money bill they don't have any say, except for 14 days they can discuss and they can suggest some amendments. Afterwards, you know, it will be defaultly considered that it is passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha together. But in case of financial bill 1, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha both can individually pass. If there is any disagreement, there can be a provision of joint session also. In bill 1, bill 2 also. Financial bill category 1 and 2. Okay. But there is no such condition that it should be introduced only in Lok Sabha for financial bill category 2. అర్థం అవుతుందా అర్థం కావట్లేదా? కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉందా ఏమన్నా? No, only in Lok Sabha, only on the prior recommendation of President of India. This is the only 2 features which will have a match with money bill. Financial bill type 2, it can be introduced in any house, same way, joint session, President kunde powers normal ga unde vanni as it is untayi, but it differs in this case. Okay. So this is what first thing you have to know. What is here the finance bill mean? You have seen in the recent prelims also there is a question with respect to money bill and finance bill. Okay. The difference here you should know is this finance bill will be passed as part of budget. Okay. What are the stages in enactment of a budget? Budget presentation, then General discussion will be there just for 2-3 days, it will be there. Then houses will be adjourned, right, for some time. Okay, then what happened? Departmental scrutiny. Okay, parliamentary standing committees will individually look into the issues of grants. Then what will happen? Voting on demand for grants will happen. Okay, this is a fourth stage. Then fifth one, appropriation bill, then finance bill. So finance bill, if it is passed, means it is completing the procedure of enactment of budget. Okay, if you know, recently 2 days back finance bill was passed, and you know today is the last session of 17th Lok Sabha and the budget session also. Okay, so and another important thing you have to keep in mind is the difference between appropriation bill and finance bill. Appropriation bill will legalize expenditure of the government of India. That means whatever the money you wanted to get back from the consolidated fund of India, that is authorized by this appropriation bill. అంటే గవర్నమెంట్ ఖర్చు పెట్టడానికి కావాల్సిన మనీ మొత్తం ఎంత అడిగింది, గవర్నమెంట్ ఎక్కడ అడుగుతుంది, ఎలా అడుగుతుంది? డిమాండ్ ఫర్ గ్రాంట్స్ కదా. యు నో వాట్ ఈస్ గ్రాంట్ అండ్ వాట్ ఈస్ డిమాండ్, ఐ థింక్. ఓకే, డిమాండ్ అంటే మినిస్ట్రీ ఇండివిజువల్గా నాకు 100 రూపీస్ కావాలని ఎవరిని అడుగుతారు? ఫినాన్స్ మినిస్టర్ని అడిగి అది బడ్జెట్లో పెడతారు. బట్ 100 రూపీస్ అనేది ఇవ్వాలని ఏం రూల్ లేదు కదా. ఒకవేళ మనీ లేకుండా 80 రూపీస్ ఎలకేట్ చేస్తే, ఓకే, ఆర్ 100 రూపీస్ ఎలకేట్ చేసిన పార్లమెంట్ డిబేట్ చేసినప్పుడు 100 రూపీస్ అవసరం లేదు, దాన్ని 80 కట్ చేయండి అని చెప్పి కూడా కొన్ని మోషన్స్ పాస్ చేయొచ్చు, ఇఫ్ యూ నో. ఓకే, అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? 80 is reduced to 100 is reduced to 80. అంటే 100 అనేది డిమాండ్, బట్ వాట్ ఈస్ పాస్డ్? 80 is the grant, voting on demand for grants. Okay, so this is what you have to know. So ఈ grants, ఓకే, ఈ గ్రాంట్స్ పాస్ అయ్యాయంటే అప్రోప్రియేషన్ బిల్ అంటే వాళ్ళు అడిగినంత ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ ఆథరైజ్ చేస్తుంది పార్లమెంట్. ఓకే, దెన్ వాట్ ఈస్ ఫినాన్షియల్ బిల్ ఆర్ ఫైనాన్స్ బిల్? ఫైనాన్స్ బిల్ మీన్స్ ఇట్ ఈస్ లీగలైజింగ్ బోత్ ఇన్కమ్ యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ రెవెన్యూ రిసీప్ట్స్ ఫర్ ద గవర్నమెంట్. అంటే ట్యాక్స్ ప్రపోజల్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా బడ్జెట్లో, ఇన్కమ్ వాళ్ళు ఎలా రేజ్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నారు అనేది అన్ని, if they wanted to get parliamentary approval, they have to get this passed by finance bill. Okay, another provision is in case a finance bill is not passed within 75 days, then government has to resign. Okay, 75 days from the date of presentation of budget. Okay, this is what you have to keep in mind. Excluding these gap, you have here recess of the houses, no, that will be excluded. Okay, that will not be included, only working days you will consider. Okay, in what other situations a government can resign? No confidence motion, motion of thanks, yes, very good, that is also we are going to discuss. And in what other situations government has to resign? If finance bill is not passed, in case if money bill is not passed, do government has to resign? Money bill, మనీ బిల్ పాస్ అవ్వకపోతే గవర్నమెంట్ రిజైన్ చేయాలా అక్కర్లేదా? నో, ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? హూ వాంట్స్ టు సే yes, raise your hand once. This is parliament again, ayes and no's will be there, you have to answer. Raise, yes, you are saying they have to resign. 3, 4. Okay, who don't want to say, like who want to say no? No need of resignation by the government. 4. అంటే మిగతా వాళ్ళు ఏంటి? You are abstaining from voting. Here whip is issued. If whip is issued and you abstain, then you will be debarred of your membership. Yes or no? See, why parliament only should be considered as temple of democracy? Even classroom is also temple of democracy. Democracy ante meaning and collective decision making, right? You are participating in decision making. Yes. Then in what other situations? చెప్పండి, ఆలోచించాలి మీరే. నేనే అన్నీ చెప్తే ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ బి స్పూన్ ఫెడ్. యూ హ్యావ్ టు థింక్, రీకాల్. Recalling is the main thing which you have to do in exam, right? In very less span of time you have to recall and recollect and reproduce. Yes or no? Prelims లో ఇంతే కన్ఫ్యూజన్ వస్తుంది, మొత్తం స్టఫ్ అంతా బయట పెట్టాలి ఒకటేసారి, యూ వామిట్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, రైట్? డెత్ ఆఫ్ ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్, Okay, death of Prime Minister also, they'll resign and they'll again form. Okay, that is a different situation. I'm asking in case of not passing anything. Motion of thanks also. Yes, he said. And yes, please. We have to complete many. Please answer. Cut motions ఎప్పుడైనా విన్నారా? If cut motions are passed, then is there any need on the government to resign? Cut motions వినలేదా? Some are nodding, some are partially nodding, some are not even nodding. You have cut motions, right? Cut motion itself, I told you, demand and grant, 100 to 80, cut, okay? But there will be three different cut motions: policy cut, token cut and economy cut. Okay, what is policy cut? That means as 100 is asked, 80 is granted, some amount will be reduced. Token cut, whatever is asked, for that only 100 rupees will be given. That means they're showing that we are not ready or we are not happy with the proposal of the government or the ministry. So that is what token cut is. Amount will be reduced to only 100 rupees to show dissatisfaction. And if it is economy cut, it is 1 rupee. They'll cut down entire amount only to 1 rupee will be sanctioned. Means total displeasure. In any of these three cut motions, if they are passed, then also government has to resign. That means, see, వాళ్ళు అడిగినంత ఇవ్వట్లేదు అంటే ఏంటి? That is showing that the house is not having lack of or it is not having confidence in the house or in the government, right? That is why they have to pass, they have to resign in this situation also. Okay, three cut motions to ఏది pass అయినా they have to resign. This is another situation. Okay, we have discussed this, right? Appropriation bill is authorizing to meet the expenses. Afterwards, after the appropriation bill, second thing we have to get passed is finance bill. It will complete the enactment of budget. Okay, so spending the public. Why this have to be there means, you know, Parliament. Okay, they're having financial accountability. Okay, with respect to the Parliament. So this appropriation bill will authorize this withdrawal from the consolidated fund of India. So then you can see finance bill is a type of money bill defined under Article 110 of Indian Constitution. So it is introduced annually in the Lok Sabha after the Union budget, only in the Lok Sabha, financial bill category 1. So government's budgetary proposals will be there. Appropriation bill, only expenditure. Here, budgetary proposals. So even any levying of new tax and all will be there. In case if they are introducing any new tax proposals, then they have to state the reasons also why they are going for new taxes. That will be there in the form of a memorandum. Okay, so what are the reasons why they are introducing new tax proposals? Then financial bill type 1 only can be introduced in Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha can recommend, as I told you. Okay, this happens normally, and you know, approval from both houses of Parliament before it will be passed. Okay, that is also required, and it has to be passed within 75 days. This is different from financial bills. Okay, this is a money bill type only. We call budget also a money bill, no? Okay, so this is what you have to keep in mind. Finance bill is different. Financial bills type 1 and type 2 are different. Okay, don't get confused here. Clear with this? While all money bills are financial bills, all financial bills are not money bills. This is what I asked you. Okay. For example, you see here, a finance bill which only contains provisions of tax proposals would be a money bill. Only tax related things. Okay. The money to the consolidated fund. But if it contains expenditure and also some other matters that are considered, then it will become financial bill category 1. Money bill law provisions, general provisions of the financial bill 1. Second, if there is a bill which is involving expenditure made by the government other than this money bill issues, then it will become financial bill category 2. Then monetary policy. Okay, so you have this recent review of monetary policy committee under RBI. So you know this is a which type of body? Statutory body. Okay, because it was established under RBI Act of 1934. You can see here section 45ZB of RBI Act. Okay, so this is a recent trend we have in 2016 based on which committee recommendations? Urjit Patel committee recommendations. This monetary policy committee has formed. Okay, you know this is a 6-member committee. We'll see the composition, but what is most important is you have to remember here this monetary policy committee has 2 main goals. One is to keep inflation under control plus price stability, or second goal is to ensure economic growth. Okay, this is mainly responsible for monetary policy. Fiscal policy is with the Government of India, Finance Ministry, you can say. Okay, then so you can see here policy interest rate means RBI has chosen what is the policy rate? Repo rate, you know. Okay, so if they wanted to check inflation or they wanted to keep inflation adjusted, then which will be altered? Normally repo rate. So what is repo rate? The rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks. That is what repo rate. Okay, so with increase and decrease in repo rate, what will happen? Inflation will be adjusted. Okay, so if they wanted to expand money supply, they'll decrease repo rate. If they wanted to increase money supply, they can increase the money repo rate. Okay, so in this situation it happens. So you know these are the members. This was asked already. Okay, so member means first RBI governor, deputy governor in charge of monetary policy. So under RBI you have 4 deputy governors, but one person who is entrusted with monetary policy, he will be member. RBI officer also who is appointed from the central board, 3 members from the central government side. Okay, they will be nominated. And here you have to remember is they will have only 4 years tenure. Okay, 4 years, or in case if they have asked to resign also, or if they resign, whichever year they can do. And casting vote will be there with the RBI governor. Okay, so normally governor will not vote, you know, casting vote. That means in case of split, he'll vote. Okay, then these are the functions. You know, policy interest rates have to be settled. Then inflation target. Policy rates means, you know, normally repo rate. Inflation targeting means, you know, previously in 2016 itself we have this MPC, you know, Monetary Policy Committee. So at that situation it has placed a range of 2 plus or minus 4%. That is 2 to 6% is the ideal range of inflation they have decided. Again after 5 years, that is in 2021, they have further extended this to 2026. Till then also this 2 to 6% of bandwidth of inflation only is targeted by RBI. This is what you have to keep in mind. And which inflation? It is CPI inflation. You should know what is the difference between CPI and WPI. Who will compile CPI? NSO. WPI? DPIIT. Okay, Department for Promotion of Internal and Industrial Trade under Ministry of Commerce. Okay, that is the, and you have to know services are not included under WPI but included under CPI. These basic differences you need to know. Okay, then economic analysis and forecast, GDP related data, fiscal related data, everything has to be released by this monetary policy committee. Then decision making, you know, with respect to this, they have to meet at least 4 times in a year and they have to take their decisions. Okay, this is what mandated by monetary policy committee, RBI Act. Okay, then in the recent committee meeting, what did they say? Okay, they have kept this benchmark rate of repo rate unchanged, means 6.5% as it is maintained. They did not lower it because inflation is still high. Okay, it is not within that stipulated range kept by RBI. That is why they have maintained the same repo rate. Okay, so that is why inflation continues to remain above this 4% target. Okay, so of RBI. Then it retained the policy stance with as withdrawal from the accommodative stance. So you have to know what are different stances of monetary policy committee. Have you heard about them? Hawkish, dovish, accommodative, neutral. Yes or no? Hawkish means when there is high inflation. Okay, so when to tackle inflation, they wanted to increase high interest rates. Okay, so by increasing interest rates, they'll go for hawkish monetary policy stance. Just okay. Dovish means yes, interest rates will be decreased. Okay, so when hawkish policy is there, at that point of time, our rupee will strengthen. But in dovish situation, rupee will weaken. Okay, depending on the situation, whether you wanted to control inflation or not, hawkish or dovish will be taken into consideration. Accommodative stance means, what is accommodative? To expand money supply in the economy, they generally go for accommodative stance. Okay, neutral stance is another thing, means neither increase nor decrease will be there. Okay, this is what. But now, if you see RBI is saying, you wanted me to repeat. Yes, what is the problem? You wanted me to repeat. Okay, hawkish means when there is inflation going on and you have to keep it in under control, then you will go for higher interest rates. So that you wanted to decrease the inflation. By this, what happens is Indian rupee will strengthen economic, like in the global arena, you can say. Coming to the dovish, here what happens is you are decreasing the interest rates, okay, because the inflation is already controlled. You wanted to decrease, like you wanted to maintain it further. So you know always inflation is not bad. It is even good for economic growth. Some ideal inflation range should be there, okay. So then it will be decreased. Interest rates will be decreased in dovish. So in this situation, Indian rupee will weaken. It will lose its value in terms of dollar. Then other types of two are accommodative stance. That is what we have seen. Withdrawal from accommodative. That is what RBI is pursuing now. Previously, accommodative stance is there. Accommodative means they wanted to expand money supply in the economy. How money supply will be expanded? Money supply increase అవ్వాలంటే ఏం చేయాలి? Repo rate increase చేయాలా, decrease చేయాలా? Decrease చేయాలి కదా. Repo rate decrease చేస్తే బ్యాంక్స్ పే చేయాల్సింది తగ్గుతుంది. అప్పుడు మోర్ బారోయింగ్స్ ఇస్తాయి బ్యాంక్స్. సో నార్మల్గా అకామిడేటివ్ స్టాన్స్ అనేది ఎక్స్పాండింగ్ మనీ సప్లైలో ఇస్తారు. బట్ ఇప్పుడు ఆర్బీఐ ఏం చెప్తుంది? ఇట్ వాంట్స్ టు రీటైన్ ఇట్ స్టాండ్ ఫ్రమ్ విత్డ్రాయింగ్ అకామిడేషన్. అంటే అకామిడేటివ్ స్టాన్స్ ఫాలో అవ్వాలని లేదు, మేము వీ వాంటెడ్ టు విత్డ్రా ఫ్రమ్ ద అకామిడేషన్. అంటే వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ ఫర్ న్యూట్రల్ స్టాండర్డ్. అంటే వీఆర్ నైదర్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్ నాట్ డిక్రీజింగ్. ఓకే, వీఆర్ మెయింటైనింగ్ ద పాలసీ రేట్స్ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్. This is what you have to keep in mind. So withdrawing accommodative stance means they wanted to curb the money supply. Accommodative is expanding the money supply, right? Withdrawing of accommodation means curbing the money supply. Okay, then there is less scope for rates cuts. Okay, in the future also RBI may not go for rate cuts because inflation is not under control. Then growth rate is forecasted at 7%. Okay, and inflation also, retail inflation is above 5.4% this fiscal. 4% ఉండాలి ఐడియల్ గా, బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అబౌవ్ 4% కాబట్టి ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్ ని తగ్గించాలి కాబట్టి ఇట్ హ్యాస్ డిక్రీస్ ద ఇంట్రెస్ట్ రేట్స్. ఇట్ కెప్ట్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్. ఓకే, అర్థమైన పాలసీ స్టాన్స్ అండ్ రెపో డిఫరెన్సెస్. ఎస్, దెన్ ఈవెన్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు ఫోరెక్స్ రిజర్వ్స్ ఆల్సో ఇట్స్ ఎట్ ఫోరెక్స్ రిజర్వ్స్ ఆర్ ఎట్ almost $622 billion. Even in the president's speech, recent speech to the budget session also, she said about this all-time record of forex reserves, because we are now having a forex which is sufficient for 11 months of imports. Okay, this is all-time high. And they also said about robustness of this AEPS. What is this AEPS? Aadhaar enabled payment system. Okay, this is also one introduction done by NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India. So this body is responsible for UPI, BIM, many things, no? Aadhaar enabled payment systems is also one thing which the RBI wants to increase so that duplication and tax evasion will be decreased. Then introduction of offline central bank digital currency. This is one another thing which RBI has said. Offline means they wanted to start it in the retail level. Okay, retail level they wanted to go for central bank digital currency. Digital currency ante enti? Normal currency కాకుండా online. Okay, that will be available so that the persons can exchange the currency. So this is what they have explained in the recent monetary policy stance. Clear with this? Any confusion? చెప్పండి, ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే I'll explain. Please. As we have many topics to cover, I may be in rush. Yes? Otherwise, I could have explained all the qualitative and quantitative tools of RBI so that you can easily remember. We'll see in the next class if it is possible. But now, motion of thanks. Okay, so you know, motion of thanks was passed recently because on the same day, Prime Minister addressed both houses, no? So on the occasion of passing of this motion of thanks. Okay, so this is a parliamentary procedure. You know, motion of thanks means the President's address will be there 2 times. So you know in which situations? Normally, first session of every year and first session of the general election. Okay, so president will preside both houses in a joint session. So that speech is not her own. Okay, so what the government has achieved and what government want to do, she'll outline those policies. So if this motion of thanks is passed, that means the house is commanding majority in the government. Otherwise, that reflects that the house is not having majority with the government. Okay, that means if motion of thanks is not passed, then government has to resign. This is what the situation is. So from where we have taken this means speech from the throne, again from UK. Okay, this is similar to the speech from the throne. King and Queen used to address same way. From that provision only we have borrowed same provision, motion of thanks. Okay, this particular provision. And Article 87 is dealing with respect to this beginning 2 sessions where President of India will address the legislature. Okay, So amendments can be passed. This type of statements can be framed. Okay. So amendments can be framed with respect to motion of thanks. That means if any member object and the House allows, and if amendments are passed, then it can be amended and it can be passed. This can be a trap. Okay. Then at the end of discussion, this is put to vote. Normally before this, like when this is concluded, discussion is concluded, when it is putting to vote, at that time a member can expect the reply of Prime Minister or the ministers with respect to the issues concerned. If they are not having any answer properly from the President's speech, they can expect the answer from the President or Union Minister. Okay, this will happen and it must be passed, otherwise it will amount to the defeat of the government. That means lack of confidence from the House. Okay, then you can see here, one important thing is, limitation is, it is not under the direct responsibility. For example, if any central government concerned issues are not there, but some member has raised it and they have said that in case if this is answered, then only we'll allow the motion of thanks or something, then presiding officer can object. Okay, only those issues which are under the central government's domain, those only can be raised during this discussion on motion of thanks. And the things which are mentioned in the name of President of India, that means which are only discussed in the President's address, those only can be objected. But other things cannot be raised at that point of time. Okay, are you able to understand? Then other motions, you know, different types of motions we have, right? What are other motions? Privilege motion you have. When privilege motion will be introduced? When you think that a member or minister of the House, they have committed breach of privilege. Okay, it can be introduced both in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, both. Okay, there is no need of resignation. Second, you have censure motion. Censure motion means when you want to censure a particular minister or group of ministers. This can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. There is no such provision in Rajya Sabha. Then adjournment motion you have. Adjournment motion means you want to disrupt what is going on in the House and you wanted to take up some another issue. Okay, this only can be initiated again in Lok Sabha. Okay, for censure motion you have to say the reasons. Otherwise, how you can censure the minister or the group of ministers? Stating of reasons is mandatory. Okay, then calling adjournment motion you have. That is with respect to urgent public matter of importance. So those issues can be raised by calling attention motion. Here, minimum number of members should support, like 50 members. If they support only, then that issue can be discussed in the House. So this also can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Then no confidence motion you have. No confidence motion also only in Lok Sabha, because Lok Sabha only enjoys the majority of the government. So, but there is no requirement of stating of the reason for no confidence motion. There is no requirement. Okay, no, you need not state reasons why you wanted to table no confidence motion. This is another motion. Apart from this, as I told you, cut motions are there. Policy cut, token cut and economy cut. Okay, so these also can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, because demand for grants can be voted only in Lok Sabha, right? There is no provision for Rajya Sabha, right? That is why cut motions can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, these are the motions and their importance. Then highlights recently, if you see, these things you can write. Okay, if you have to write in mains, fastest growing major economy with 7.5% growth rate. Macroeconomic stability, we have shifted from fragile 5 to top 5 economies. That is what she mentioned. Impressive export regime. For the first time, we have touched almost $775 billion of US dollars of exports. Okay. Then foreign direct investment have reached almost $71 billion during this financial year 22-23. Then with respect to Khadi and village industries, she also said we have flourished these industries. You know, we have given the concept of Swadeshi, native. Okay, Atmanirbhar Bharat, no, because of this, there is a boom in these industries. Okay, and you know, there is one article associated with Khadi industries or cottage industries in Indian Constitution. What is that article? 40? 40 is organizing village panchayats. 43 promotion of cottage industries, if you have remembered. Okay, that is under DPSP only, which Gandhian. Okay, then income tax returns also increased, 8.25 crore people, previous to 3.25 before the government. Then forex reserves $600 billion. PM Kisan Samman Nidhi has distributed almost 2.8 lakh crore rupees to different farmers. Okay, since its inception. Loan for farmers also increased threefold. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. This is with respect to insurance for crops, right? Okay, so there is a difference premium for Kharif and Rabi, and you have for horticulture also. So there is a claim of almost 1.5 lakh crore in respect of this, and with respect to Ram temple construction also she made a note. Okay, so these are the things from her address and motion of thanks. So then important thing is Nagoya Protocol. Okay, so why this is in news? A country called Cameroon, they have adopted and they have ratified this Nagoya Protocol in the recent time. Okay, so Nagoya Protocol, you know, this is a protocol under CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, one of the outcome of Rio Earth Summit in 1992. Okay, so you have to know what is Nagoya Protocol. Nagoya is nothing but it is named after a city in Japan where it was signed in 2010. Okay, so this is with respect to fair and equitable sharing of genetic resources. Okay, so biodiversity conservation is the main objective. Under that you have again, so two protocols are there. CBD is divided further into two protocols, okay, to achieve their specific targets. Like you have Cartagena Protocol that was signed in 2000s. Cartagena Protocol is targeting genetically modified organisms or living modified organisms. So if you are genetically modifying organisms, then it can become a threat for local biodiversity, right? That should not happen. So to say that these local or living modified organisms doesn't become a threat, there is a Cartagena Protocol. But after this biodiversity research or something, if you do, if there is no fair and equitable sharing of resources, whatever the genetic resources you have come across, then there won't be any objective met under the CBD. No, for that particular purpose, there is a Nagoya Protocol. Okay. For example, if I am saying this traditional knowledge, have you heard about this traditional knowledge digital library? We are saying no. Tribal people, they have good knowledge of traditional things. They know which herb can cure which type of disease or some things, right? So in that situation, if those people, they have the traditional knowledge, but if some person has claimed the patent over it, like for example, US companies will claim an turmeric issue. So in that situation, what happens? These persons having the traditional knowledge, they are not getting the benefits, no, or sharing from it, or fair and equitable sharing is not done from the benefits, no. That is what addressed by this Nagoya Protocol, right? Okay. So why it is in news? Because recently this country Cameroon, where is this country located? Africa, Central Africa. Okay. So if you have remembered in 2023 prelims, there is a question on Cameroon. UPSC have framed a question. Okay. So with respect to mineral deposits. So you see Nagoya Protocol, it is with respect to access to genetic resources, fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from it. It is a legally binding treaty under CBD. Okay. Protocol. So this is under CBD, which was signed in 2010 in Japan. Okay. CBD, you know, 196 countries, almost all countries have ratified CBD. You know, this was signed as part of Rio Earth Summit in 1992, Rio de Janeiro, you know, Earth Summit. Okay, there it happened. So what are the three main objectives of CBD? Conservation of biological diversity. That is the first thing. Sustainable use of biological diversity, fair and equitable sharing, and genetic access resources. This is third one is addressed by Nagoya Protocol. Okay. So this is what you have to keep in mind, three objectives of CBD. So it is covering biodiversity at all the levels, ecosystem level, species level, and genetic resources level. Okay, everything is covered under CBD, and you have to remember its secretariat is there in Montreal, which is in Canada. Okay, and recently we have COP15 to CBD, where we have signed this Global Biodiversity Framework Fund. Okay, that is also recently in news. You have to go through it. Okay. Then this is also binding treaty under which you have Cartagena Protocol, which came into force in 2003. It was signed in 2000 but came into force. It is with respect to living modified organisms. These type of questions UPSC can ask directly. Okay, so they can ask what is the objective of Cartagena Protocol, or they can match the following questions also. Okay, so you be thorough with these things. Nagoya Protocol, as I told you, fair and equitable sharing of genetic resources. So here you can see this is the location of Cameroon. Okay. I know you people don't observe in the map, that is why I have included here. Then black-necked crane. Okay, this is also issue or species in news. Okay, because Minister of State for Environment, he have addressed that. Okay, with respect to this black-necked crane, we are taking some measures. So when Minister himself has mentioned, it is having some importance. Okay, so why this is important? Because this is considered as a very sacred thing for Buddhist people, especially Tibetan Buddhists. You have no Dalai Lama and all. So it used to be in high altitude areas only, like India, China, Bhutan, so which are also having this Buddhism prevalent there. So they worship this, or they consider this particular crane as sacred for the religion, okay. And Monpar tribes of Arunachal Pradesh, they will also consider it and they will worship this particular black-necked crane, okay. So what is the reason is, the recent times because of climate change or some reasons, this is getting decreased in population, okay. That is why you have to know high altitude wetlands, okay. It used to be crane అంటే మీకు తెలుసు కదా నార్మల్ గా వెట్ ఏరియాస్ లోనే ఉంటుంది. సో హై ఆల్టిట్యూడ్ వెట్లాండ్స్ అండ్ మెయిన్లీ ఇన్ ఇండియా, చైనా అండ్ భూటాన్, దీస్ ఆర్ ద ఏరియాస్. ఎస్పెషల్లీ టిబెటన్ ప్లాటూ is also famous for this black-necked crane, right? Then threats means, you know, normally habitat loss, degradation, pollution, all these are the reasons. Conservation status, it is near threatened only, it is not under critical endangered list, okay, but its population is decreasing. Schedule 1, Appendix 1, okay. So this is what conservation status in Monpar tribe of Arunachal Pradesh. AP means not Andhra Pradesh but Arunachal Pradesh. So they also revere this particular black-necked crane, okay. So this is what you have to remember from this. What are the steps taken? Then minister said we are taking some steps, no? What did he say is, so mainly if you see this sanctuary, okay, this type of questions they can ask you again. Changtang sanctuary, this is based in Ladakh. This is specially designated to protect this particular habitat, okay. And second thing is, you know, Sokar wetland complex. This is also recently designated as Ramsar site in 2020 itself, okay. So this is also a place where you can see this black-necked crane population. Next, in National Wildlife Action Plan 2017 to 2031 also this was included to conserve, how to conserve and all. And there is also a program which is providing financial assistance for conserving wildlife habitats. Under this also, this is included. And you know, recently our Prime Minister of India gave a call for Mission Life, environmental sustainability and all this, no. So as part of this also we are conserving. This is what the reply from the Minister of State, okay. So with respect to conservation of black-necked crane, okay. Then ICIMOD, okay. So ICIMOD, this is an organization which is in news with respect to Hindu Kush Himalayan mountains, okay. So you know, because of some climate change and all, Hindu Kush mountains are losing its value, or you can say whatever the extent of Hindu Kush is there, that is getting decreased because of climate change. So this is an organization, again, International Center for Integrated Mountain Development for the Hindu Kush region, okay. So you should know where this is, and this is important because it is an intergovernmental organization, okay. It is not a private organization or NGO, it is intergovernmental organization, okay. These type of things can be asked. So with respect to Hindu Kush Himalayan regions, it was formed in 1983. This ICIMOD was formed in 1983, intergovernmental. So which are the states that are concerned? Then means 8 states are part of this, okay. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Nepal, Myanmar and Pakistan. These are the countries which have this Hindu Kush mountains, okay. And it is headquartered, ICIMOD is headquartered in Kathmandu, Nepal, where SAARC is also having its headquarters. Okay, SAARC you have, no, in Kathmandu, Nepal, same place you have this. So main thing is how the knowledge, okay, how you have to use the knowledge to conserve this Hindu Kush mountains. So you know, Hindu Kush is extending over 3,500 kilometers and it is a source of 10 largest rivers in Asia, okay, including Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Yellow River, Yangtze River, like this we have 10 main rivers in Asia. All those are having their origins in Hindu Kush Himalayan mountains only, okay. So it is also providing water. You can see this is extinct. All this maroon colored area, okay. So this is all Hindu Kush. It is expanding over 8 countries, okay. You can see the rivers here. This is Amudarya, Indus, you have Tarim River, Ganges, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Irrawaddy in Myanmar, you have Salween River, Mekong River, Yangtze River, Yellow River. These are the rivers which are taking their origins from Hindu Kush mountains, okay. Then WIP, okay. So I'll complete in 5 minutes, hardly have patience. So WIP means, you know, WIP means a directive issued by political party to its members, right, on the floor of the house. So normally WIP, is it mentioned in the constitution? WIP, is there any mention in the constitution? You're not nodding with confidence. No, there is no mention in the constitution. There is no mention even in the rules of the house also, okay. And it is not a parliamentary convention, okay. Just we are practicing it and we have taken this concept from British. Okay, so whip, why it is in the news? Because one party has given 3-line whip. This is what you are coming across for the first time. In whip also there are different types: 1-line whip, 2-line whip, and double line or 3-line whip. Okay, so recently party, on the context of this Prime Minister addressing, in spite of this, on the occasion of motion of thanks, on that address, they have asked all the members to issue, or they have asked all the members to address issuing this 3-line whip. Okay, so although this, they do not ask the classification of whips or something, but you should know what is the mandate in case if whip is breached, or okay, these type of things can be known. So here you have to know, it is important for voting. Whip will be issued when party has to vote, or they have to take a stance. At that point of time, whip will be issued so that all members of the party will abide by the party decision. So in that situation, and this is a British practice where it will be issued to all the members. Okay, then appointment, every party will have their own whips. Chief whips will be there, and in his absence there will be 2-3 other whips also who will function in their absence. So normally you should know in what situations secret ballot voting will be done and in what situations open ballot will be done. For President of India, is it a secret ballot or open ballot? For President of India, is it open or secret? For President of India, it is secret ballot. Okay, so it is not mandatory that they have to show their vote to the whip. That is why I have included this point to make you clear. Whip ante enti, ఎప్పుడైనా ఓటింగ్ చేయాల్సి వస్తే ఓపెన్ బ్యాలెట్ ఉన్నప్పుడు they have to show their vote to the whip, that they are casting only to the person who was asked by the party. Okay, so the same thing will be there. But in case of Rajya Sabha elections, lot of horse trading, all these things happens. That is why in Rajya Sabha elections, who will elect Rajya Sabha members? MLAs itself. At that time, whip will be issued and the members have to show their vote to whom they are voting, so that they are showing that they are aligning or they are abiding to the party decision only. In case if there is no abidance, then they can take disciplinary actions under defection. They can ask the presiding officer to remove their membership. Okay, that is what happens. So secret ballot is there only in the President of India's elections, and in Rajya Sabha elections we have open ballot. Previously Rajya Sabha election used to have secret ballot, but recently in 1980s, 19s onwards only we are having this concept of open ballot. Okay, so in that context also whip is important. So what are the whips you can see? 1-line, 2-line and 3-line. Okay, intensity increases. 1-line whip means underlined once, just underline, and they will allow the members to abstain in case if there is not a major decision. Okay, if you are not willing to vote, abstaining is also allowed. But in this 2-line whip, what happens is they have to compulsorily present and vote. In the 3rd whip, they'll use this in case of second reading of a bill or motion of thanks, and this is an obligation. In case if you are not doing according to the party's directive, then you have to resign or any disciplinary action can be taken against you. Because one of the ground for anti-defection is if you are not abiding to the party decision. Okay, other than voluntary resigning, okay, nominating member joining, and in case of a split. Other than this, one ground is if you are not abiding by the party decision, or if you are acting against whip, then also you will be disqualified under 10th schedule. Okay, that is why it is important. So if 3-line whip is issued, that means the persons have to mandatorily abide by that particular decision of presence or voting. Clear? Then in defiance of whip, I told you. Okay, so membership itself will be at risk if you are not following whip. So anti-defection law will come across. So next we are going to discuss about another small topic, that is nano DAP. Okay, so in these type of things, how questions can be asked. So because recently finance minister has said that we wanted to introduce this nano DAP because urea consumption is so high in India, and India is the 2nd largest consumer of urea, and so much of black marketing happens in urea. So there is a lot of misuse also that is happening in urea. Excess will be placed by the farmers, and also lot of shortage is there. At the same time, wastage is also happening. To address all these issues, she said we are going to introduce this nano DAP in all agroclimatic zones. Nano means DAP. Okay, DAP means this is a fertilizer or pesticide, you can say. This is given at the nano level, means the particles will be at the narrow down, because previously we used to have block type of things in fertilizers. So that will be reduced to the nano level. So this is liquefied fertilizer, diammonium phosphate, that is the name of DAP. So it will contain nitrogen and phosphorus. So these are the two key things they can ask you, or they can change these two things, nitrogen and phosphorus, you have to remember. And it contains 8% nitrogen and 16% phosphorus. This can be asked, okay, the ratio 1:2, or they can change the numbers also. Nitrogen is 1 in ratio and 2 times you have phosphorus, okay. This is what you have to keep in mind. Another important thing is they can ask this type of things are developed by which organization. It is by IFFO, okay. It is not by Indian Council for Agriculture Research or some other organization. So they will ask you, because this is a new thing which was brought into Indian market, they can ask who have developed this, okay. So you can see, unlike conventional DAP, this doesn't comes in granular form, but it will come under liquid form. Granules will not be the liquid form. So it has an advantage because previously if you are using 50 kgs bag of this DAP, now you can only use 500 ml of this liquid nano DAP. That is what means reduction in size. So you are saving. So what were the benefits? Higher crop yield, quality food, reduction in chemical fertilizer usage, environmental friend, and also reduces import burden, because now we are importing urea, no? That can be reduced. So these are the advantages of nano DAP. So you know DAP means diammonium phosphate. This is a fertilizer used in India after urea, okay. So now this has stimulated root establishment and all. That is why we are using this DAP. This was developed by IFFO. Do remember that. That can be asked as a question, okay. Then what is this? Corals, all they appear like corals. No. Leaves. What is this? Algae. Okay, form of algae only. But the name is not. Seaweeds, have you heard about it anytime? Seaweeds. Future food. Okay. In case after climate change and reduction in crop yield, we have to feed ourselves on these only. Okay. So yes, these are considered as miracle food for the 21st century, right? So then seaweeds, why this is there? Because we had a regional conference happened in Koteshwar in Gujarat in the recent, okay, 2-3 days back only. So you know what is seaweed means? Microscopic multicellular marine algae, okay, which are there in the bottom of the ocean floor. These are a form of algae only, but they are macroscopic, means visible to the eye. Microscopic means with the help of a microscope you watch, right? So these are a variety of colors will be there based on the algae color. Red, blue, green algae, brown algae, we have different colors, no? Based on the algae presence, they also will have their own colors. Second thing is, it is considered as medical food for 21st century, okay? Soon after we have this food security related issues, most of the people are saying that these are going to help us because they are having so much nutrient value. Medicinal properties are also there. They're trying to, even they have this usage in cancer treatment also in some parts of the world, okay? Because of their value, they have immense potential. Distribution, you can see, they're found in intertidal zone. What is intertidal zone? See, if this is a coast, okay? Sometimes you will have high tide here, hitting here, no? Otherwise, you will have low tide only hitting till here. Yes or no? This region is called intertidal zone. The area between high tide and low tide, okay? So there can be there, and deep waters or shallow waters. In both the areas, we can have this seaweeds, okay? And they will also be there in estuaries and backwaters also, we have this, okay? So you can see here, seaweeds or underwater forests. If they are very dense and they appear like forest, then we call them kelp forest. If you have seen in cosmetics, kelp shampoos, you can see sometimes green biotic kelp shampoo is there. If you have come across that or not, I don't know. Just Google it out, okay? That is also from this, but I'm not saying that they have made from this, but they're saying that they have made from this, okay? Completely. So kelp means again from an algae. So these have usage in so many things. But most important thing is you have to know where is their location in India, okay? So we have in Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Lakshadweep and Andaman, okay? Especially you can see Mumbai, Ratnagiri is in Goa, and you have Karwar, Varkala, Vizhinjam, and you have Pulikat in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and you have some parts of Chilika and Orissa also. In these locations we can have seaweeds in India, okay, located. So then significance bioindicator, okay? What is this indicating means? Normally you know algae is indicating what? What does algae indicate? Healthy biotic indicator means it is reflecting the health of the ecosystem, no? This is what also done by the algae or seaweed here. Okay, bio indicator means in fresh waters only normally it will be there, so it is indicating the health of the ecosystem. Second, food source, you have seen byproducts I told you. Okay, bioproducts means different things are made from these. Okay, as I told you, like we are making different noodles and different parts of the world are consuming already, China like countries. And you have carbon capture. So algae, you know, again they will capture and so this is also used there, and other benefits. Even in medical products and like cancer treatment also this is having some usage, and in different cosmetics also they are using this scalps, okay, or this seaweeds. Okay, in this way this is very important. Then you can see recent government initiatives is we have the seaweed mission also launched, National Seaweed Mission, commercialization of seaweed products under ICAR, and also you have this CMFRA, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. So this institute, if you have seen recently, it has come across with lab grown fish meat. In India, this agency is developing lab grown fish meat. You have heard about this, no? Lab grown meat, tissue culture meeda. Ante animals ni cut chesi meat consume cheyakunda, animal tissues ni artificial ga culture chesi we are growing meat artificially. Lab grown meat we call. Lab grown fish meat is being developed by this organization, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute of India. This along with ICAR, which is an autonomous organization under Ministry of Agriculture, they are developing this commercialization of seaweed projects. Means seaweed nunchi products తయారు చేసి వాటిని commercial గా మార్కెట్ లో అమ్ముతున్నారు to increase the prominence. And multi-purpose seaweed park is there in Tamil Nadu. Okay, this is what you have to keep in mind. Then this is an important thing. One of the form of seaweed is agar. Agar is based from red algae. ఇది ఏంటంటే ప్రామినెంట్ గా బేకరీ ప్రొడక్ట్స్ లో యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఓకే, జెల్లీస్ స్టిక్నెస్ రావడానికి అలా వాటిలో. Okay, so this is what used in one form of red algae, which is also used in the bakery products and for different jams type of thing. Then next you have is this Kamakya temple, another program was launched. Okay, so you have to be patient until I leave you. Okay, the main job is to give you important things, right? Hardly 5-10 minutes. Okay, so you have to be there. Prime Minister has laid the foundation stone for this program. Look, what is this program is not so important, but mainly you have to know about the importance of this temple. Okay, cultural aspect, if any question is asked, because Kamakya temple, you know, one of the Shakti Peeths. Okay, out of 52 Shakti Peeths, so you know, one of the Shakti Peeths is Kamakya temple, which is based in Neelachal Hills in Assam. Okay, so Neelachal Hills is very important, and you have to remember here tantric practices are there. This is the only temple you can say which is celebrating goddess menstruation for 3 days. Okay, female menstruation of the goddess is celebrated for 3 days in this with the name Ambubachi festival. Okay, they can ask you this. This is what Ambubachi Mela or Ambubachi festival means. 3-day menstruation cycle of the goddess will be celebrated once in a year. Okay, this is based in Neelachal. So this is launched as part of PM Divine. What is this PM Divine? This program is aiming at improving the infrastructure facilities in the Northeast region. Development of Northeast, you can see. For infrastructure projects, this is under, you know, there is a separate ministry for Northeast, no? Ministry of Development for Northeast. So that is taking care of this PM Divine. As part of this project only, this Kamakya temple related project was inaugurated, or foundation was laid by the Prime Minister in the recent time. Okay, then Ajanta and Ellora caves, you know mostly about this, right? Ajanta and Ellora caves are already listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Okay, they both are located in Maharashtra itself. Okay, you should know what is the basic difference between them. Ajanta is only Buddhist cave. Okay, so what all the caves are Buddhist in nature, and you have Ellora caves which are having Hinduism, Jainism and Buddhism. All 3 religious things are there in Ellora caves. Okay, you should know this basic difference. And what is, you know, again 2-story, 3-story, single story, those basic differences you need to read from NCERTs. Then you can see these were 2 identified as part of Swadesh Darshan scheme 2 by Ministry of Tourism. Okay, so here you might get confused with Culture Ministry, but it is under Ministry of Tourism, right? Then these are ancient rock cut caves. You know what is rock cut cave. Okay, so then they belong to, timeline is important, sometimes they can confuse you. Ajanta is earlier, 2nd BC to you have 6th century AD. Between this time we have Ajanta, and you know Ellora caves are 34 in number and they belong to 6th to 11th AD. After Ajanta, we have Ellora. Okay, try to remember this. Then you know, these are Buddhist and these are mix of both. And you have in Ellora, there is Kailash temple, which is largest monolithic rock cut temple. Okay, means of single stone on it was made. Okay, who was the person? Which dynasty? Very good, of Rashtrakutas. Okay, who is the founder of Rashtrakutas? Dantidurga. Very good. Swadesh Darshan scheme. This was launched in 2015 by Ministry of Tourism. Again, to develop some tourist spots in terms of sustainable and responsible way. 100% centrally sponsored scheme. Okay. If you see Ajanta and Ellora, always they'll ask you, what are the paintings you see in Ajanta? Padmapani they have asked already. They have asked the river which is passing through Ajanta. Like this, continuously UPSC is having this area as favorite zone. That is why I have included. Last topic, that is World Sustainable Development Summit. Okay, this recently was inaugurated by our Vice President in Delhi. Okay, so you should know when it is happening in Delhi, it is important. So who is the body that is authorized to conduct this is TERI. Okay, the Energy Research Institute of India. This is a body which will organize this Sustainable Development Summits. Okay, so this was instituted in 2001 itself. This is the only independent convened international summit with respect to Global South. You know what is the difference between Global South and North, right? With respect to Global South, this is the only summit which is having relation with sustainable development and its relation. Okay, and you have to remember this is a 23rd edition. It started in 2001. Now it is a 23rd edition and it is happening in Delhi. Okay, then you can see the theme for this is leadership for the sustainable development and climate justice. So that is a theme for this year. And you know, TERI is a leading think tank. Okay, it is not attached to the government. It is just a think tank. And you know, this is helping India and Global South in terms of sustainable development. It is independent multidimensional organization in terms of policy research. Okay, it will help us. And it was established in 1974 as an information center. Later it turned to be research institute. So mainly, you know, it works under these things. One is promoting efficient use of resources. That is the main concept of sustainable development. Increasing access and uptake of sustainable inputs and reducing the impact of environment and climate. Okay, to reduce the climate change, this organization is functioning. Okay, it is headquartered in New Delhi. Okay, this is what you have to keep in mind with respect to TERI. Yes. So as we have come to the end, you can be free now. If you have any questions, you can ask.